I'm here with Brooke Smokelin, who is an experienced yogi and yoga teacher, musician, and sound healer. She also works with crystal bowls and is an environmental educator and artist devoted to empowering others with tools and techniques that ignite the light within us. I'm really happy to be talking with Brooke today. Welcome.
Thank you. So good to be here.
You do something called Chakra Activation Yoga. What is that?
So Chakra Activation Yoga is it's a style, an approach to a yoga practice that really focuses on activating each of the chakra energy centers along the spine. And so learning specific techniques that relate to each of the chakras and practicing those techniques to, feel better and feel brighter.
So what exactly are chakras for those people who don't know?
Yeah, great question. So chakra, as you know, means wheel, and often referred to as wheels of light. And so chakra it's kind of, the way that I describe chakras are that they are emotional, energetic aspects of our being. If you subscribe to the belief that you are, I am, we all are more than just physical bodies, right, and physical beings, that we have emotions, right, and in addition to those emotions, we have an energy. Each one of us has a unique energy that we actually are embodying, right? So we're not just a physical body, but we are, an embodiment of energy, right? So that's kind of premise number one, right? Acknowledging this energetic reality that we are. And then yoga takes it, a step further, right? It goes much deeper, and it starts to kind of get specific about the qualities of energy that we embody. So chakras are kind of energy centers, distinct, right? Kind of aspects, right, of energy or manifestations of energy that we embody. They are distinct from each other, but they're also part of a system called the chakra system. Yeah, and I like to kind of, again, go back to that emotional, energetic kind of description of a chakra. It's not something that if you went to the doctors and they said you need to have an operation and take out your chakra, that they couldn't do that, right? They're not really physical, but they are the emotional, energetic kind of expressions of being in a physical body. Does that help?
Yes, that does.
Yeah, ask me more.
Yeah, definitely. So like in your deck then, what do you prescribe for, you're addressing each of the chakras and prescribing certain breathing exercises or stretching?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, visual aid number one. Right, this is the deck that Julie was just referring to. It's called the Chakra Activation Deck, and it looks like this, right? And inside of it is all this wonderfulness, right? And you can see there, it's a deck of cards, actually, and they're all color coordinated, right? Color coded. So in the chakra system, there are 7 major chakras along the spine. And what I didn't say earlier, but is that chakras are really associated with nerve centers, what we call plexi, or singular would be a plexus, like the solar plexus. That's the one that people generally know the best. There's the solar plexus. There's also a sacral plexus. There's a cardiac plexus. There's a thoracic plexus. A plexus is when the nerves kind of come together, right? And so that, right, you have these nerve centers, right, along the spine, curiously, right where you have chakras. right, along the spine. So that's kind of another way that I describe, right, this emotional, energetic kind of description of a chakra, right? If just think about it like when you would say, when you describe how you're feeling, right? Sometimes you can have a feeling that is strictly physical, like, wow, I'm really hot, right? And your nerves can pick up on that. Also, you can be like, hey, how am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling really edgy and tense, right? That has a physical manifestation, but it's also more of like an energetic, emotional thing. So the nerves really are the kind of physical connection between the chakras and the physical body. So based on that, what you were asking is there are specific yoga exercises, right, that we can do that activate, kind of energize, right, bring prana, life force, right, into the body and to these nerve centers, okay? So either that's through physical movements, right, or through directing the breath and moving the breath in a certain way that then can kind of literally energize the whole physical energetic zone of that chakra, right? So if you do exercises for your heart chakra, right, you're going to kind of feel nourished in your heart, your lungs, your arms, your fingers. And so that's really what chakra activation yoga is it's a, kind of systematic way of learning about the chakras for one, and then also learning specific yoga poses that, activate that part of your whole system and bring nourishment and vitality to those places.
Let's say you're feeling sad
Mm-hmm.
one day. You would consult the deck. You would pick a card and get guidance on that, on what to do.
Yeah, you can do that. I'm a huge fan of, kind of using the deck as an oracle. So I call that kind of the random play of using the deck. It's just like, hey, I want to do, a short yoga practice. I'm going to draw 3 different cards and kind of leave it up to the universe, right? Like, oh, okay, great. I got a red one. I got a green one. I got a blue one, right? I'm going to work on red for my root chakra, green for my heart chakra, and blue for my throat chakra. And that's kind of, leaving space for divination, if you will, right? That's one way to work with the deck. The other way to work with the deck, there are many, but I have a chakra assessment that I use with one-on-one clients. It's also available on my website. You can download it. It's a series of questions that you answer, and then you kind of rate, based on the number that you give the answer the questions with. It tells you, where in your chakra system you're deficient. Right? So based on that number and that assessment, then you could say to yourself, okay, seems like I'm low in the root chakra, so I'm going to get out all my red cards of the deck, right? And just work with them for, a week, a month, a period of time, and really just understand the energy and the practice of just the root chakra. So that's another way to do it. And then the third way is kind of just default progressing from root to crown, right? Root is, at the base of the spine, then you have the sacral, the navel, the heart, throat chakra, third eye, and crown. And I always recommend working from the bottom up, building that physical foundation, right? The root's very, kind of physically, it's grounding your energy, right, into your body. And then by the time you get up here at the crown chakra, right, you're thinking of, the oneness with the universe, and you're really able to kind of entertain and meditate on those kinds of concepts. So that's different ways to work with the deck, for sure.
So also, like, let's say you're having problems with the organs in your second chakra area,
Mm-hmm.
then you could focus on that.
Absolutely, yeah. So each of in the deck, there's actually a card for each chakra, and it's called the remedy card. This is the root chakra remedy, and it says, root chakra yoga is the right remedy for you at this time if, and it gives a list of things, right? So you can pull out all your remedy cards and kind of look through them and be like, oh, that's me, right? For example, one of the ways that like a depleted or blocked root chakra will manifest physically is constipation, right? Because the root chakra is related to that sense of safety, right? And also slowing down. It's also, the nerves are actually related to the large intestine, okay? So if you kind of, are, kind of that have a uptight nervous energy there at the root chakra, it's going to eventually, right, maybe not immediately, but and show up as chronic constipation, right? So you would read this and you'd be looking and you'd be like, oh, that's me, I need to work on root chakra. Similarly, you were saying earlier, right, there's sometimes just emotional things, right? So in the remedy list, it's like if you feel unsafe, right, or on the run, right, like you're just rushing, because the adrenal glands are related to the root chakra as well. So, if you've got that really keyed up energy, then oh, right, root chakra, I need to be working on this. So there's a card in the deck for each of the chakras, and you can pull them out and read them. You can also get a one-on-one with me, right? I do all kinds of, chakra consulting. Oftentimes people take the chakra assessment, and then I get a session with them just to kind of go over what they discovered and walk through and create a personalized plan of like, hey, you should start here. Let's check in after, say, a month of you working on this particular chakra, and then, let's start building up, a practice. That's really what I want, and that's why I created this, is so people can create their own practice, right, at home that feels nourishing and specific to them. So, there's a lot of ways to do that on your own, but there's also a lot of ways to get help from somebody that's been doing this for a long time.
That deck is definitely a lot of wonderfulness.
Yay! I'm glad you think so. Yeah, it was a huge undertaking. I mean, I had been, I've been teaching yoga for about 25 years, and I had been doing workshops. I do every year a Chakra a month workshop series. So I start in January and I go to July, and we do each of the chakras a month, and it's wonderful. And I just, from doing that, year after year, and working with students and developing this private practice to support people in kind of igniting the light and balancing all these chakra energies that we all embody. I was like, what, I want to have something that people can take home. I want people to have these resources, because, you get a lot of information from people, but oftentimes, you go home and you're like, what did she say? So the deck is really helpful that way.
And you also do sound healing.
I do. With
crystal bowls.
Well, I work with crystal bowls. I also work with tuning forks. Mostly I'm working with very specific frequencies, so my tuning forks and my crystal bowls are both very specifically tuned, and I'm working with what they call Pythagorean intervals, and it's slightly different than the normal musical scale. This is a little kind of nerdy, but I'm going to explain a little bit. So yeah, a typical musical scale, or I should say a modern, or what they call an even-tempered musical scale, right, is exactly that. The distance between the notes are uniform. right? And so what this means is it's great for jazz and improvisation and a lot of instruments playing together, right? But before we had that, and instruments were kind of what they called monochromatic, right? They really just, you know, they weren't very complicated. The distance between the notes was not uniform, right? And Pythagoras, the kind of Greek, I think he was Greek, yeah, with a name like Pythagoras, that's pretty Greek. He was a mathematician. Pythagorean intervals, another example of where you see Pythagorean intervals is, say, in nature, okay? So the Fibonacci sequence, which is the math, right, the kind of manifest math of spirals, right? So seashells, the way that plants grow, right? It's in our body. Pythagorean intervals are like how things grow, right? The distance, it's all proportion, but it's like the distance, the length of one digit of your thumbs, and then to 2 digits to your wrist, to your elbow, to your shoulder. If you did the math and you broke that down proportionately, it would turn out to be Pythagorean kind of proportions. So all that, right, is to say that's why I work with Pythagorean tuned instruments, so crystal bowls and tuning forks, because what I do in my sound healing is actually an attunement, right, back to our bodies and back to nature, right? My kind of belief is that people, many of us, right, are, you know, out of tune with ourselves, right, and out of tune with the natural world. And so hearing and feeling these Pythagorean intervals, right, and literally retuning, right, the body system and the vibrational system to a place of harmony, right, within and also with the external world, it's like, it's pretty amazing, right? So that's what I do. And somebody's on a massage table, treatment table, and I am, this weaves into the chakras because I start with a chakra assessment. Each of the chakras actually has a particular frequency, a note, right, that they are kind of associated with as well. So somebody, you know, I kind of get a sense of where somebody might be vibrationally deficient and use the tuning forks. I'm working with 2 tuning forks at the same time, so it's kind of here at the ears, and then I'm actually rolling all the way down the body and both kind of reinforcing the vibrational field and also clearing the vibrational field at the same time with specific frequencies.
That's fascinating.
I realized that when people are not well, right, and out of tune, right, so kind of not well, that's a yoga term, right, out of tune is kind of a sound healing term. It's really, really hard for people to connect, right, with anything, really. You know, it's hard for them to, you know, be, you know, in a place of receiving, and particularly to cultivate a connection with the outside world, right? And so I was experiencing a lot of frustration in my career as an environmental educator, like, not so much with kids. I found that kids got it. Kids were just like, this is easy. People, you know, were having trouble connecting with nature / themselves, right? So that sent me on this huge journey back to yoga, right? And really to dive into the chakras to develop this system of, you know, how can we address the whole person, right? Not just the physical and moving the body, not just one kind of, this goal of enlightenment, but no, like embodied enlightenment, right? And that's really what the chakra system says. It's like you are, every one of us is this embodiment of light. And I want people to know that, right? And practice that and feel that sense of alignment and attunement with all of their energies. And then also, of course, with the natural world, to feel just the gift of, being alive on this planet, and really to treat the planet in a way that, is, like you're feeling that, right?
That's so interesting how you like combined everything, integrated it. And
yeah.
One time we were talking and you said you used to suffer from depression and yoga really helped you. And then so how did you make the connection between yoga and chakras?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I was really fortunate. Some of my early teachers, and, I was, again, this is 25 years ago. There weren't a lot of yoga programs. I mean, yoga was really different back then. I had a few teachers that, we didn't practice in yoga studios. Like I would go to their homes, and practice with them. And it was a lot more conversational, the learning. It really, I mean, at least my experience was I got to ask a lot of questions. And I, was told to read a lot of books and do a lot of things. And so it was very exploratory and yet kind of apprentice-like, right? Working with a teacher. And so I think that really, it wasn't formulaic like I think a lot of the teacher training programs are now, because they need to happen in a certain parameter. And that's not to say that people aren't learning a lot about the chakras in particular programs presently, but I just think that I was able to, in that one-on-one with the teacher, ask and discover a lot of what now lives in chakra activation yoga, and just a lot of exploring about these energy centers, doing the practice, what's the result of the practice? Doing the practice, what's the result of the practice? And that's the benefit of just being, committed and devoted and passionate about something for a long period of time. You get to, say a few things about your own experience.
And do you you must be working with people who have all kinds of issues, from mental to physical.
Absolutely.
That you see
overall? Well, it depends. I mean, I do see, I feel like the practices are very effective. It depends. I see people with, kind of physical issues, and then I see people with emotional issues, and I say that lovingly. I'm just putting them, in quotes. But again, yoga, there's no separation between the physical and the emotional and the mental, right? And that's what I love about the chakra system, is it embraces that. It says chakras are physical, energetic, emotional, kind of bodies within your body, So the more you know about the chakras, the more informed and empowered, right, you are to address these issues, right? Whether they're physical, emotional, or mental. And, the other thing that I want to say is practice, practice, practice. Where do I see the best results, right, with my students and my clients, is when people, they commit to doing this. I think oftentimes, we're from a culture, American culture, that is like, well, where's the quick fix? And how many times do I have to do this? And it's more about integrating you know, and that's why the deck comes in so handy, is I want people to cultivate a practice that, you know, ideally addresses all of these energies, right? And all of these kind of zones in the body, right? You don't want to just be focusing on, you know, one part of the body. You want to run that energy up the spine every day and move your body in different ways and, you know, feel all lit up, you know.
So I know each chakra has like a consonant or sound, like
Yep.
Hindi or Sanskrit consonant. So how does that work with sound, the vibrational energy?
Yeah, great question. So they're called, if I think what you're referring to is the bija mantras.
Okay.
And these are, so bija is seed, right? And so seed, they're seed sounds, each chakra, right? And often you see them, I'm trying to see if I have a picture, right? So in the deck, right, in the middle, so this whole thing is called a yantra. A yantra is like a physical drawing or representation of the energies of that particular chakra. And you can see this is root chakra. And what I love about this, like if you, root chakra is grounding, it's very stable, right? And we have here on the yantra a square, right? There's a triangle in the middle, but there's a square, right? And just the visual of seeing a square, right? I mean, this is very kind of archetype energies, right, that are kind of represented in this yantra, okay? But in the center of the yantra, that is a Sanskrit word, right? And it's the bija mantra. And so for the root chakra, the seed sound is lam, L-A-M, right? And so you can chant, right, and make that sound, right? And that is also part of activating the chakra by chanting this sound. It's like the way that my teachers taught me, it's like a key, right? You know, like you have it's a vibrational key, it's a vibrational match, and it opens up the energy of the chakra. So what's really great about that, and I'm glad you asked, because sometimes, like I've had people that I've worked with, and they were very limited in what they could do physically, right? And oftentimes people say, oh, I can't do yoga because, you know, I've been in an accident, or, you know, I'm paralyzed, or, you know, I just, you know, my body is not able to move in certain ways. And the wonderful thing about chakra activation yoga is that there are these ways you can, this is part of the practice, meditating on the yantra, right? You know, it's a gazing, it's a meditation. Chanting the bija mantra is that's part of the practice, generating that lum, 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 right? Making that sound, right? So mantras, there's a whole science to mantras, right? When your tongue hitting the roof of the mouth, right, at any of these various places, and, you know, Sanskrit's amazing. It's a sacred language, right? It's not, I mean, it's meant to activate and awaken, right? That's the intention. So when your tongue hits the roof of your mouth, you're literally creating rhythms, and you're stimulating the brain and causing the brain to secrete certain hormones and chemicals that do all kinds of wonderful things, right, to your whole system. I mean, it's really exciting. So I really mean that. Like, people are like, what's this chanting a mantra do? How can that help you physically? Oh my God. I mean, there's volumes and volumes of study, both ancient and modern, right, where they actually have now they've got the EKGs and they can see brain activity from people chanting mantra, and it's phenomenal. So I obviously can't say enough.
Just like you, yeah, exactly. So just like you would say Om, you would say these. I know that because on my yoga mat,
yes,
it has those syllables.
Yeah.
On for each one on there.
Right.
So then when you're working with your tuning forks, it's all connected, although maybe we don't know how, or it's not apparent to us, but you're tuning that vibration? Are you hearing that sound?
You mean the mantra sound or when I'm working? Yeah. And sometimes I'll chant in a session, right? When I'm working with somebody, I'll chant the Bija mantra. Sometimes I'll get people to chant the Bija mantra with me. Oftentimes, people, we're not really a chanting culture, unfortunately, or whatever, So sometimes, when I do a one-on-one session with somebody, we're gonna do the poses, right, together. I'm gonna show you what it is. I'm gonna watch you in it, right, whether it's in person or on Zoom. We're gonna chant together. I'm not just gonna say, oh, go home and do this. People don't know what to do. I get it, but doing it together. And then, if I'm working with tuning forks as well, then I'll be doing the Bija mantra for that particular chakra, but I'll be doing it at that kind of tonal frequency, right? So the notes at the root chakra are lower, right, than say the sound or the note at the heart chakra. So it's really great because you're not only getting what I call the sound form, right? That's another way to think of a mantra, like Om. Right, that's it's a form of sound, energy moving, right? Om, literally, why it's so sacred, right? Like the mantra of all mantras is you start back here, right? Ah, and then you move the sound all the way, and you end up here, right? And in yoga, the mouth is it's like the cosmos, right? So when you have sound literally moving through the cosmos from like the alpha to the omega of like the back of your, literally here, guttural, right? And then finishing here, that's a sacred sound, So you're working that form. And then also, at the particular frequency, you can say or you can say right? Completely different kind of feel to it, right? So, there's a lot to the sound science. And then there's also, as you had mentioned earlier, the crystal bowls. So those are amazing because they make such a big, like, visceral vibration. I mean, when you're, I have bowls that are, 16 inches in diameter, like pure quartz crystal. I mean, when you get those things going, like, it's just, talk about stilling the mind and having a vibrational experience. It's, there's nothing quite like it. And you get a couple bowls going together. Oh, my Lord.
I absolutely love crystal bowls. Some days throughout this COVID thing, you're just at home and it's like kind of a depressing feeling. And I put those, like the YouTube videos on. They just have that for hours. What I kind of think is like you could be sitting on the plane or the train and be saying these sounds.
Yes, always. Oh, yeah, brilliant. And thank you for mentioning that, because that's what is so empowering about mantras, right, is you can mentally vibrate them as well, right? I mean, there's something about generating that sound, but a mantra, another benefit of the mantra is it occupies the mind, right? So say you get, you're in a stressful situation, right? You could be in a stressful situation, thinking stressful thoughts that are escalating and getting worse and worse and worse and worse, getting more stressed, right? You're having that stress response. Or, right, you can be in a stressful situation and you can start reciting a mantra, okay? You could just be, say, okay, I'm in a stressful situation. I'm feeling like I'm getting all sped up. I want to slow down. I'm going to chant the Bija mantra for the root chakra over and over, right? Lum, 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 lum. Or I'm not even going to do it outside, in my mind, right? And what it does, it disrupts the stress response, at least on one level. Physically you might be like, but your mind is not engaging with that. And it's wonderful. And then eventually, right, you do it long enough and the body, you start to feel the relaxation response come in, and it does have a profound effect. And also just listening, right? I have on my website, chakraactivationyoga.com, if you go to the shop section, I have a whole bunch of downloads, right? Musical, they're MP3s. They're me reciting the affirmations for each chakra. That's another thing in the deck, right? Each chakra has a series of affirmations. So I'm reciting the affirmations while I'm playing the crystal bowl tones and the tuning forks tones, right, the same frequencies for each chakra. So you can download like root chakra affirmations. I have singles, I have short loops, and then I have, get this, hour-long loops. It's wonderful, right? If you just need like...
That sounds very blissful.
Right? It's just over and over. So sometimes I'm just like, I'm in my car or I'm at home working, but I can't really do yoga in terms of the physical, right, asanas and the kriyas. But what I can do, right, as I get more informed about, my chakra system, I can, kind of support my energy through these other tools, right, the affirmation MP3s, or, working with the color or working with the yantra. So there's a lot of ways to, kind of support yourself energetically. I mean, the yoga is great, but we got other things we need to do too.
Right. And you have created an online course also.
Yeah, I have. Woo! That was my quarantine project. I'm so happy about it. I've been wanting to do it for years. So now what you can do, and it actually goes really great with the deck. It's designed to kind of be modular because the deck is a lot of information, but it's pictures, right? You get a picture of a pose, and then on the back side you get kind of an explanation, and it will tell you inhale and exhale, and it's great. But in the online course, basically, this is now a 10 to 15 minute video, right? And so I'm demoing it, I'm giving modifications, I'm talking about the benefits of the pose. When, I do the Bija mantras, I'm actually chanting the Bija mantras for like 5 minutes. So you can watch the video and chant with me. I'm reciting the affirmations, talking about the affirmations, giving a lot of just information, through the video medium that you're going to get a taste of in the deck, but it's so much more. And then the cool thing is that you get, with the online course, you get access to it for a year. So, you get to, it's on-demand, self-paced. So once you sign up, right, you basically, you can do it all in like, a month if you wanted to, and then just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then the other thing with the online course is I have a Facebook community. So if you're on Facebook, I know some people aren't, but if you are, we have like a private group. And so people, kind of, sometimes I teach classes on there. There's a whole bunch more videos on there. And it's just like a forum where everybody's kind of talking about chakras and asking questions. So it's like a three-dimensional experience of chakra activation. And now, with COVID, it just seemed like the perfect time to make this, these resources available and through this medium, because I'm not teaching in person right now. I hope that changes, and I know that it will, but in the meantime, this is my offering.
Well, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
What I get from it too with the chanting is the more and more you do it, it's like it becomes a habit. Mm-hmm. So that when you do hear that sound, or when you do say the mantras in the future, your response to it will be much quicker.
Absolutely.
A bit more faster.
Yes. Absolutely, and I'm so glad that you said that, because, and that's true not just for the mantras, but for any aspect of the practice. Truthfully, that's why we want to cultivate a regular practice with all of these things. Some things are going to resonate more with other people. Some people might be drawn to that aspect of the chakra activation that is sound, it's sonic. They might love the mantras and the affirmations and not really want to explore, say the asanas or, the pranayamas, the breathing exercises. Some people, it's going to be the opposite. So there's something in there, and there's a lot to explore. But in either case, like you said, right, you want to, and this is why I wanted to make available a lot of resources and a lot of kind of techniques, because as an educator, right, you learn, and I think we're all becoming familiar with this term, there are different kinds of learners, right? Some of us learn through physical activity, right? Some of us are book learners, right? Some of us are, we're like writers and journalers. Some of us are sonic learners, so chakra activation yoga has stuff in there for all different kinds of learners. But the point is, right, to find something that you really enjoy, right? So if you really like the mantras and you're like, wow, I like how this feels. I notice, right, when I chant the mantras, I really get a sense of that particular chakra. Right, it makes that connection for me. When you find that, right, stick with that and do that, like you said, regularly. Now, is that every day? For some people, maybe yes. It might be every day, 10 minutes a day, right? It might be every week, right? I sit down and I make time for my chanting practice. Why? Because it feels good, right? Yeah. That's the connection that I want people to have with their yoga practice, right? It should feel good. You should want to do it and be able, and same thing with meditation, and then you do it more and more, and as you said, then it becomes a habit, and then when we need it, right, we know that energy. Now, because I've done, root chakra work, consistently, like when I feel my stress response activated, I know I want to, do my practice, right, and activate my root chakra so I can settle down, I can feel this. Similarly, like when I want to nourish my heart, say my heart is feeling very tender, or something happened and I'm feeling very vulnerable, I want to be able to, use the tools that I've learned to, help the heart get buoyant again, and feel, refreshed and not, so there's, like the chakra activation practice is like, right, I'm taking care of that part of myself, right? Same thing with the throat, right? All of these energies, our throat can get clogged up, right? We can be in chronic situations or environments that, you know, cause us to constrict and contract. And look what happens physically. After a while, we're holding our tension like this, okay? So what we want to do is, you know, start to open up, right, and do, right, the physical exercises and to allow this part of our bodies and our energy to be able to release and, you know, shine. So it's, I mean, I hope that makes sense. I think, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole point of yoga is to unify with God, with Source.
Yes.
Isn't it to find a level of balance and integration just on a more physical, energetic level?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because that is true. I think sometimes people, you know, think of the first thing you said, you know, that union, and also with Source, with God, right? Oftentimes that takes people, I think, there's a misconception that that unification with God or Source is somehow outside of the body, right? And there are many different yogic schools, okay, and approaches, and some, right, yogic schools, I believe that, right, kind of renunciation of the physical world is the path to enlightenment, right? The teachers and kind of schools that I've studied with more of a tantric, right, kind of approach, right, is more about integrating, right, this experience of the body rather than renunciating, right, it, but saying, hey, how can this experience of the body bring me closer to God and everything, right? And so that's when you get the asanas and the pranayamas and the vibrational kind of tools that actually get you in your body. So it really is, as you said, you know, it's not a kind of evaporation into, you know, kind of union, but more of this, you know, balance between the physical body, right, and that experience also with the non-physical. And the chakras are right there, right, in the middle. I mean, the chakra system, when you look at it like that, the chakra system is really a bridge between the two. I do this exercise, right, where you rub your hands vigorously and you take a couple deep breaths. Oh, do it with me, yeah. Right? And you could close your eyes and keep rubbing the hands, keep breathing. Just feel that heat at the palms of your hands. A couple more seconds here. So lift the arms up above the head, keep rubbing, keep breathing. So one more breath. Okay, keep the eyes closed and stop the rubbing, bring the hands down in front of the heart. The palms are still touching. Okay, when you inhale, let the palms separate. Okay, just pull them apart. And then as you exhale, just let the hands come back in towards each other, but don't let them touch. Okay? And then inhale, let them separate. Yep, and just notice that sensation in between your hands. Exhale, let them come back in slowly. Don't let them touch. And just do that a couple times at your own pace. Good, one more time. And on this exhale, you're going to let your hands come all the way and just let them touch. And just feel that. Eyes are still closed. Great. And then you can relax your hands down, palms separate, and then you can slowly open your eyes. There you are. Hi.
Nice.
So question, right, is did you, first question, yes or no, did you feel something, anything in between your hands when we did that exercise?
Yeah, you feel heat.
Okay, so you felt heat. Okay, tell me more. What else? How would you describe that? Not what is it, but how would you describe what that sensation was?
I mean, it's like you're building a friction. I keep getting warmth.
That's great. I'm not
building up the energy.
okay, right? And so when you were going like this, you felt like you were building up energy and heat.
Yeah, you're building up heat, and then we brought it over our heads, and then when we brought it down, it was like felt very grounding.
Mhm. 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 Great. I love that. Yeah. So
that's a great answer.
No, there's no wrong answer. First of all, that's your experience. But what we just did there actually is we activated the hand chakras, right? So the hands are actually minor chakras, right? If you think of it, there's all these nerve endings, right, in the hands. So, and just like I said, chakras are associated with all the nerve centers along the spine. So when you rub the hands together, right, and then you breathe and you keep breathing, right, you're really fueling these chakras with prana, right, and then you bring it down, right, and basically you're just, you're giving space. If you keep your hands together, you're going to be like, what do I feel? Oh, I feel my hands, right? But when you separate your hands, all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. I'm feeling something, but, it's like, what is that, right? And it's amazing. I do this in workshops all the time, right, when I'm teaching people about, like, what is a chakra, right? And some people say heat, some people say cold, some people say it's light, some people say it's heavy, some people it's like really like expansive, some people it's very dense. It's amazing. I've heard them all. I have people, but the point is, right, that energy, right, what moves through this system manifests in a whole number of different ways. That's what the chakras really are, right? The heavy kind of weightedness of the root chakra at the base of your spine that's in your legs and your bones, and right, it has that calming and slowing energy. It's very different than what we have here at the heart, right? This light and buoyant, right, like, kind of energy that, allows us to move in certain ways and, be certain ways energetically. So it's a really great, kind of experience of, just wrapping our head around when I say chakra, right, what does that mean? It's like, well, you just felt one right there. That's, you just felt a chakra, right? I feel like this should go at the beginning of the whole thing. We should start with that, but, that's great.
That's what's so interesting when you were talking about that, because you don't have just the 7 major chakra centers. There's so many different types, energy centers. And I know this because actually I was reading about gemstones and how they can help with certain energy centers. And I was looking at the spleen chakra and how to work with that. So that's fascinating.
Absolutely. And yeah, and that's why I say 7 major chakras, right? Because, and the system that these, chakras are in. I mean, energetically, all of those energy centers are connected, but there is a, the way that yoga describes these major energy centers and, the systems that come out of there, it's worth it's worth recognizing, right? And by no means is it exhaustive, right? By no means is it better than or less than. You know, a lot of indigenous cultures actually have energy systems, right? Some, you know, talk about, you know, 13 chakras, right? But with the yoga system, you know, we're working with 7 major. And, you know, it's a way of looking at not just, you know, my body, but your body, right? Everybody has chakras, right? And understanding ourselves a bit better.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. It's been such a pleasure. I really, really, really appreciate you inviting me to share and all these great questions. It's really wonderful to, you know, just kind of put it all together. And yeah, I love being a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all of this awesome work that you're doing and helping people find peace energetically. And I think the knowledge of that is so important now, and I think it's becoming more universal. So this is so important.
Yeah.
And how can people connect with you?
Oh, great question. My website is Chakra. Well, it's actually Chakra Yoga Healing or BrookeSmokelin.com or ChakraActivationYoga.com. Whatever you want to put in, it all goes to the same place. And that, you know, really breaks down a lot of the stuff. That's where you can get the MP3s. You can sign up for the online course there. There's a lot of information about the chakras. You can buy the chakra activation deck there. So that's the best place, chakrayogahealing.com. And also you can reach me if you have a specific question. Down at the footer, you know, it says contact Brooke. And just send me an email. I do one-on-one sessions as well, as I mentioned. Right now they're Zoom, but you know, you can download the chakra assessment on my website and take that, and then, you know, send me an email and be like, Brooke, I want to go over this and figure out, you know, how to get started and, you know, how to create my own practice and ignite my light. So that's what I'm here to do. It's my joy.
Wonderful. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to getting my deck.
Yay! Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yay.